Hi boys and girls, I thought I would make another PowerPoint presentation and do a voiceover and record myself explaining each of the lessons because hopefully you found it helpful in last week, so I thought I would continue with them so that you know exactly what I want you to do for each lesson. So the first lesson for this week is going to be the learning target is to know what features to include in a letter. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with these little checklists that we write for each of our pieces of writing. And this is the yellow part of our writing journey whenever we plan. So that's what I want you guys to do today. So at the end of last week, we labelled a letter. We used the example of Aiden the alien to help us. So we labelled the different features in that. And I want you to use that to help you write a checklist today. Whenever you've written each of the features, I then want you to think of a symbol, and that can be whichever one you want. I think the only ones that we have symbols kind of already agreed for are the first three. I'm not going to tell you what they are, I'm giving you a little hint. So use the labelled letter from last week to help you, and I will give you some little hints down here. There are 6 features that I want you to include in this checklist. The first 3 are things that we include in every sentence. I'm not going to tell you what they are, but everyone knows, I think, what they are already. So you write the first 3 things here that you use in every sentence and think of a symbol for them. And the next 3 are features that you need to include in a letter. And if you're not quite sure what they might be, you can use the letter that you labelled last week, and the answers are there. I don't want to tell you too much, but everything you need to write in this checklist you guys already know from previous lessons. So that is Sunday's lesson, and this checklist will help you whenever it comes to doing the actual writing of your own letter. Then moving on to Monday's lesson, I want you guys to plan a letter. So instead of just going in and starting your letter and not knowing exactly what you're going to write, I want you to spend some time planning the content of what you're actually going to say in the letter to Baby Bear, so that you can make sure you include all of the right things, you don't forget anything, and so that it flows nicely as well. So whenever we wrote the letter for Aiden the alien, we made a plan. I don't know if you remember, but we split our worksheet into 4 parts. We thought about questions we wanted to ask him, questions we wanted to answer, things we wanted to tell him about us. So we're going to do the same thing for this letter. We're going to plan. We're going to split a sheet, I thought, into 3 parts this time. So instead of using worksheets, we're going to move away from worksheets because I don't have a printer at home and I'm not sure if you guys do, but I want everything to be easy for you guys to access. So the first thing I want you to do is get yourselves a piece of paper, just a normal blank piece of paper, and I want you to split it into 3 parts, like I have done here. So the first part, I thought you could do what you want to tell him, what things you want to tell Baby Bear. And as you can see, I've written bullet points here. And you guys might remember that bullet points, we used them in one of our previous topics. And they're just if you want to put little snippets of information instead of writing a whole sentence. So you can use bullet points for your plan. So the first part is what you want to tell him. That might be whatever you want to tell him about yourself, about your family, where do you live, where do you come from, what games do you like to play, what are your favourite books, any information that you want to include. Then the next part, this middle section, are reasons of why he shouldn't be afraid of the dark. So that's up to you. You guys think, why should he not be afraid of the dark? Or even better, you might think of some little tips and hints to help him. What could he do to help him? I know whenever I was younger, I used to have a little nightlight. I don't know if any of you guys have that, but you could think of suggestions to help him, and that would go in the middle part of your plan. Again, you don't need to write full sentences, just little bullet points. So you might write nightlight or story before bed or keeping the door open or anything like that, or reasons for why he shouldn't be afraid of the dark. And the last part of your plan is any questions that you want to ask him. So that can be completely up to you as well. You might want to say, who do you live with? Where do you live? Do you go to school? What is Bear School like? What is your favourite thing to eat? What is your favourite thing to do at the weekends? You can write him whatever questions you like. It's completely up to you. So that is your second lesson. Moving on to your third lesson on Tuesday, this is to be able, your learning target is to be able to write a letter. So this is when the writing part of our journey begins. We're moving on to the green part, if you can imagine that train track that we have in our classrooms. So we're going to gradually write our letter. There's no need to rush, guys. I'm going to give you 3 lessons to write your letter. So today, tomorrow, and then Sunday of next week as well. So don't only do a little bit each day. Don't write all the letter in one go. I want you to really space it out to make sure you're taking your time to do your best work. So from our checklist that we wrote in our previous lesson, we know that we need to include an address. So we put the address at the top of our letter, and that's our address, just in case Baby Bear wants to write back to us. So that's one address we need to write. The other address that we need to write is going to go in the front of an envelope. Okay, and that's going to be Baby Bear's address. Now, I don't know where he lives. You guys probably don't know where he lives, but I want you to use your imagination and think of an address that a bear might live in. So it's totally up to you. Use your imagination and think what that might be. So I want you to use this. You can use this kind of slide to help you. Some of you might have envelopes in your house. If you do, great, you can use them. Ask your mums and dads and ask if you can use the envelope to write Baby Bear's address on the front. I then found a stamp from Qatar Post, so you guys could design your own stamp as well if you like. So I want you to write Baby Bear and then think of his address. And there's no right or wrong answer here, boys and girls. You just make it up. Use your imagination. And if you don't have an envelope at home, I found this cool YouTube video at the top here. So if you click on that link or just type into YouTube how to make an envelope, and there's lots of tutorials and videos explaining how to fold a piece of paper to help you make an envelope. So you can do that for Baby Bear's address at the front. Then I want you to use this template here over on the right hand side to help you with how to space out your letter to Baby Bear. So at the top here, at the top in the right hand corner, you guys are going to write your name and then also your address. And again, it's going to be different for everyone because unless your brothers and sisters are in year 1, everyone's address is going to be different, and that's completely okay. So for today's lesson, I just want you to write the address, nothing else. Leave the date, the year, content, that will all go for next week. I just want you to write the address on the top right hand corner of your sheet. So you guys can get a sheet, get a ruler and lay your work out like this, or just use lined paper, but make sure your work is presented as neatly as possible. Okay, and last but not least, Wednesday's lesson for this week is going to be continuing to write your letter. So we've written the addresses already, and now I want you guys to continue with writing the content of the letter. So from your checklist, hopefully everyone remembered that you need to include the date on your letter. So on Wednesday, I'm recording this last week, so today's date will be Wednesday the 22nd of April 2020. So you can write that in a long date format, or if you want, you can write the short date format, which is 22.04.20. It's up to you. You guys can choose. Then I want you guys to follow the plan that you wrote and write the letter to Baby Bear. Now, everyone is going to have written a different plan. Not everyone is going to write the exact same thing in their letter, and that's okay. It's okay that everyone's is going to be different, and I think all of us teachers are really looking forward to seeing what you guys come up with. So don't worry if your letter seems different. If you're talking to your friends, that's absolutely okay. I want you to follow your plan. So I'll give you a little bit of guidance. I'm going to imagine that I wrote in my plan for the first part things that you want to tell him. So I'm going to imagine I wrote that I want to tell Baby Bear my name, who's in my family, where I'm from, and where I live. Those are 4 things that I might want to write. But you guys, you can use that to help you. You can use some of them or none of them, up to you. I want you guys to write a few sentences, just telling Baby Bear whatever you want, but follow your plan if you can. Then the next part I want you to do is write reasons for why he shouldn't be afraid of the dark. So using the middle part from your plan, I want you to explain to him reasons for why he shouldn't be afraid, and try to persuade him, try to make him believe that he shouldn't be afraid of the dark. And you can give him some suggestions as well, maybe things that have helped you or things that you think might help him. And then I want you to stop there because you've got one more writing lesson. So we're doing it in little chunks. So you've got one more writing lesson on Sunday. So that's all the writing for this week. You'll pick it back up on Sunday and have one more writing lesson. So don't rush. I'm going to get you guys to take your time and we've got plenty of time to then edit and perfect our work next week. But that's everything for your writing for this week. For tomorrow's lesson, for Thursday's lesson, it is just a spelling test. So I want you guys to ask a grown-up to test you on your spellings and then send me in your scores out of 10 and I'll keep an eye on them. But good luck for your work this week. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. And if you've got any questions, just let me or your teachers know. Bye.